Yeah, we're live. What's up, folks? We are live. It's Jimmy Calabrese here with Joe Gomez's arm. Look at that. Yeah. Look at the sexiest arm in comics.
That's right. Working on a La Muerta sketch cover here as an example, just well, we can have a little chat, have people look at something interesting besides my ugly mug.
Yeah, look at that. Wow, this is cool. All right, folks, what we're wait, pause on your drawing there real quick, because I'm going to take them to another page. I'll tell you when to come back. I'm going to share this screen for new folks who are joining us, who are here just to see that.
Sketchy sketch.
Boom, I'm showing you what we're looking at. All right. We have the Joe Gomez official Gomez original art edition. So we have the La Muerta Descent. You can get a mid-size waist or a full figure. You can also get them signed with Brian and Joel. Not only do we have La Muerta, we have Lady Death. We have once again, the unsigned mid-waist and signed mid-waist. We have unsigned and full-sized full figure. And we have Hell Witch. We'll have a mid-size waist you can choose. You got a lot of options here, folks. So just go here, look at it. Oh, I forgot to mention too, CGC, no CGC. So
yeah, good stuff.
Go to ladydeathstore.com right now. Purchase these because each of these editions are limited to 100. So we only have 100 of these. So these are limited edition items that you do not want to miss out. So I'll stop sharing that, and we'll get to the good stuff, which is Joel Gomez's arm and his drawing. Here you go, folks.
Scribbles.
So it looks like from this, the pencils here, looks like you are doing a La Muerta drawing. Just looking at that.
Yeah, I like kind of put her in a trench, and it plays up with the skeleton aspect of her costume. So it's kind of a neat thing to play around with. That's the cool thing about the characters in the Coffin universe. Thematically, they can always have a different look about them as long as it fits with the character's kind of core principle, you know. So with La Muerta, sometimes she's in a trench coat, sometimes she's like in a shorter, like a biker jacket, sometimes she's just in a t-shirt, you know. And so really try to play around with that and give her different looks that kind of play on the same theme, you know.
Oh yeah, okay. So I made some notes while rereading all the comics.
All right.
So something I really love that I think is really fun. I'm not sure anyone else noticed this too, but it's the your graffiti that you add. You have little secret graffiti stuff. I see like McLean, CC De La Cruz, Polito. I see Gomez written on the walls.
Calabrese.
Also, one, I don't know what it is. It's Big Termite. I keep seeing Big Termite. What is that?
You know what? That's actually I was talking about this with a couple of friends. We were texting back and forth. There's like this Cholo nickname generator you can find on Google, and so they always have these amazing names. And up in LA, I had some cousins who lived in a really kind of crazy part of this Mexican neighborhood, and there would be names like that. There'd be like Big Termite, there'd be like Little Casper, Sad Girl, and it's the most insane sounding Bambi, you know, Little Thumper. And so for some reason, Big Termite always stuck with me because I'm like, who the hell wants to be called a termite? Like, what's that about? You know what I mean? So yeah, Big Termite is one of the cooler nicknames I've seen around, and so I'm always throwing those kinds of things on the walls, stuff like that. New names I've discovered that I'm going to actually add to the whole repertoire too. So yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's really neat because I was doing that too after reading the panel. Then I'd look and like, okay, who's out there in the graffiti? It's a really fun little Easter egg thing that you add for folks.
Yeah, I even put Nick Galagos in there, and so I know we have some new peeps at the HQ, so I'm gonna have to add that to the repertoire as well. You know.
Yeah, I would suggest some of the fiends that you met at Fiend Fest. And,
that'd be cool too. I should do some of that.
Yeah,
you know.
We got D-Dog up there. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? D-Dog's definitely gonna get up in the mix on that because D-Dog's a really cool guy. He
He's here
actually,
too. He's here watching right
hey,
now.
what's up, D-Dog? Yeah, I had a blast working on his sketch cover of whatchamacallit, Hell Witch. And it was really cool because that was one of the times where I was like, oh man, these wing things are fun to play around with. So I definitely had a lot of fun working on that sketch cover for
And D-Dog says a whole lot of Gomez-tastic stuff
him.
going on right now.
Thanks, man. Thanks, D-Dog. Hopefully you're enjoying the broadcast and staying safe and teamed at home.
Now, everyone, everyone stay positive, stay safe, and stay sworn. That's what I like to say. Oh, I
Stay
forgot. I was
sworn.
going to sign off with that. I forgot about that. We got to do that next time.
Wah, wah.
Nice.
Next time. Next
Next
time.
time. All right, so
You know what would be kind of cool though too is I wonder if people would dig like a different hairstyle for Maria La Muerta. She should have it longer or shorter. You know what I mean? Um,
I'm trying to think which version. I think it was, which one was it? There's one like Maria really stood out is when she was leaving a cemetery. I guess it was the last. Well, you know what I noticed too? So as the story develops and as these chapters get further and further along, it seems like you and the writing team just seem to like really mesh. And it seems like everything is like, I guess I'm trying to say it gets better. The artwork and everything keeps getting better and better. The story and the art. And I don't know if maybe it's because you guys have been just working together longer. It just seems like,
Again, I think a big part of it is that I'm getting further into these guys' head. Like I'm understanding more about what Brian and Mike like to see and what they don't want to see, and I get more comfortable. I'll try certain things and I'll turn it in, and they'll say like, "Oh, that's really cool," and then sometimes I'll try something and they're like, "That's okay," and so then next time around I'll omit that, and then the parts that they did like I will add that to my toolbox and add that as part of the repertoire of things we're doing. And so with each chapter it's just more opportunities to try new tools and then effectively do the ones that they really liked, add those to the mix. And so then we're slowly building a vocabulary together of the things we like to see. And that's been a blast. Like I said earlier, it's just one of those cool things that and a lot of times in comics you don't get those opportunities. But when you see a successful comic, where you can't sometimes tell between where the writing ends and the art begins, like, well, who came up with that or how did that come about? That's kind of what usually is happening, is that there's a synchronicity amongst the creators, and that they're able to work out ideas, or they're so simpatico about an idea that or a concept that it just kind of rolls off the tongue for them. And that's fortunately what I feel like I have with these guys. So it's
yeah,
just
and it
a
seems
fun thing.
that's exactly what I'm seeing too. I guess that sums it up. Like why each story keeps getting better and better is because you guys are all like that. That explains it perfectly. So thank you very much. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I think the last incantation of La Muerta, just like some of the poses and some of the styles here in Ascension is just like, oh, okay, they got some of my favorite you've done so far.
Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. We're always trying. The coolest thing now is that we've been talking. I want to give her like I don't know, I want to give her like a motorcycle, or I want to give her like a vehicle, because Loco has this badass kind of retro like vehicle. He has like
Yeah, with that machine
it's
gun
like,
in the back that pops up. Yeah,
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. I can't. I don't want to say it's a Cutlass Sierra. It might be a Cutlass Classic. I'm not sure, but it's definitely a '70s style car that
Yeah.
we've used. They gave me specific direction, like use this particular model of car, and I was like, okay. And so, I have tons of photos of that I'll use anytime we have him cruising around. But I always feel like Maria needs like a motorcycle or something. That'd be
Well,
kind
she
of
is
cool.
driving. So what's this motorcycle that you have her driving around in right now? Because that's not like a.
Well, that was in the particular story. There's some thug who was kind of spying on her as she was hanging out with a friend of hers, Faustino. And so he's sitting on his bike, looking at them from a distance and reporting, "Hey, they're here still. You can come and lay the hammer down on them." and she realizes that they're being watched, and so she sneaks up on this person, and knocks them out, and then she takes off on their bike. Um, so it's just coinky dinky that she was on a bike again, because we've had her. I think in chapter 3 she had a motorcycle there as well, and
Yeah.
that I think that was the first time we had her in a motorcycle, so that was kind of cool. And
Well,
that's,
and
I
last
think,
right,
Mike.
she after she like stabs that guy in the eye with the
Yeah,
lollipop,
with a lollipop.
which is
That's good
awesome.
stuff, right?
Yeah,
That's
it's like
that's my
how many
favorite
different
thing.
kills, like the kill count. I should go through and do a kill count. Someone needs to do that.
Oh yeah, Brian
Oh,
and Mike, they come up with so many clever ways of how they want things to happen, and it's so over the top. It's
oh,
like a
right.
B movie crime noir, so it's intentionally meant to be like that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, it
so
reminds
I'm
me of
totally digging it.
an '80s action movie where it's just the gore and everything is over. Of course, I'm a gore hound. I love that. So, um,
Yeah, it's part of what we bring. It's like a crime noir horror book, and the more over the top sometimes, the better.
it seems like it's gratuitous and violence, but it doesn't have a lot of the sex like Hell Witch. So
Yeah,
is that going to
well,
change at all? Is that going to like there's sexy scenes, but it's not like
I think I think Maria and La Muerta, the world that we have in or this corner of the Coffin verse, there's the hints of those things, but there are other elements that are involved in there that I guess not all of the Coffin books are going to have those kinds of
yeah.
elements to them, which
Mhm.
is it's not a it's fine to have them, but it's also fine to not have them. It isn't that it doesn't exist in this particular story or universe, but it's not the focus at times. You'll see it now and again. Mama Z specifically is the antagonist in some of the Muerta stories, and she's kind of an over-the-top drug cartel lord, and she's her look is always changing, and she's kind of very sexual, and she's just an over-the-top evil character. And the thing about it is that you'd find her; it wouldn't be out of character for her to have some sort of really sexy scene or like really violent scene in which she's actually had a little bit of both. And
Well, essentially,
so,
she comes back from hell wrapped in a snake. And
yeah, exactly. I mean, so
I mean,
I mean, how much
she's
more over
naked
the
except
top
for a
can you
snake.
get?
Yeah.
And so, and that's the beauty of what Mike and Brian are always bringing to the table with that kind of stuff, and that's what really keeps me like interested in this concept because no one wants to see something trite or boring, and I think they're always finding new ways to put Maria through the grinder, and it's up to me to kind of help visualize that and share it with the fans.
Yeah, because at first it starts off like it seems like just the cities, and you see the graveyards, and then you take it to, the underground layer.
Yeah, there's like
It's
a
not like
there's all like a counterculture almost.
yeah, the Lost Boys or what are they called? Lost Angels.
Lost Angels, that's right. Yeah, those guys are another aspect of the world of La Muerta that we're slowly immersing you in. And there's a couple of other names you'll see that are tagged up on the walls a lot. That there's one called the Sisterhood.
Yes,
That's
I
part
saw
of
the graveyard or the tags. Yeah, yeah. Sisters and
that's
the
part of
Sect.
yeah, and the sect. Those are all part of things to come, but they're also a big part of other books in the Coffin universe. And so it's just kind of dropping these little hints about other things that are happening within this, book, but it's also a way of letting the readers know that these things are all connected in some way.
Oh yeah,
And
that's right.
so,
Yeah, the Sect is from Lady Death. Duh.
yeah, yeah. So that's why I'm bringing it up
And
is
the
that these
Sisterhood.
things.
Oh God. Like,
Yeah, so those things are
oh, it's
actually
so red.
always hinted at in the background peripherally, but at some point when they start connecting a little bit more obviously, you're going to go, hey, wait a minute, I saw that name. Where did I see that name? And then you'll realize that it was there all along. Um,
Hey,
and
Jelger is a comment from Jelger saying starting to look amazing. He
oh, awesome!
comes
Thanks,
in.
man.
We got Shannon, Princess Jewel. She says we need more Gomez Jewel editions. That's what she's hoping for.
Ooh,
Yeah, yeah. I
those
love that.
those came out really cool, especially with the idea that the theme of the Dia de los Muertos and the sugar skulls and the decorative aspect of it. When they add those jewels or the bedazzled effect to it, it adds a whole new layer to it. It looks really cool.
Wow, it's really neat.
Yeah,
The
it's fun. I think the colorfulness of La Muerta and the way it all works, it's again, it keeps reminding me of like a velvet painting, like in the old 70s kind of velvet painting things, and I always think about it that way when I'm kind of drawing it, you know.
so quick question. So this full figure La Muerta you're drawing, is this one that's going to be up for sale?
Yeah, I would definitely have it available. If someone specifically says, "Hey, I want that one," then of course they can have it, you know.
So is this one of the Gomez editions, or is this one of your I guess what are you working on? Is this a comp that you're working on?
This is actually a Fiend Fest
Oh, a
edition
Fiend
here.
Fest one. Oh, okay.
So this one I must have grabbed the wrong one, but this one's actually pretty rare as well.
So
Limited to
folks
50.
should, so if they want to actually purchase this one, they should contact you.
Yeah. They could just contact me direct, and I'll have it here with me. But I think I grabbed it out of the box really quickly, and I saw the La Muerta, and I was like, good, and I didn't realize oh crap, it's Fiend Fest. But
No,
yeah,
yeah.
no.
So folks, yeah, if you like what you see in here, you can pick it up directly from Joe Gomez.
Yeah.
Contact them on social media, and
But more specifically, this just gives you an example. If you ordered one of these, the Gomez edition sketch covers, this is an example of the quality or what you can expect. You know, and it gives you an idea of like how the drawing process works or how I'll add effects to it and things like that.
yes, for sure, yeah. Yeah, because you're gonna get quite a few of these coming your way with
You know
these
what?
orders.
I could possibly share a funny story of like how I first decided I wanted to be in comics. Uh, I was 18, right? I don't. I think a couple of people actually know the story, but not very many. I'll share it just because it's kind of silly and funny. But
No, yeah, I never heard this one. Let's hear
when I
it.
was when I was 18, there was this. This is going to show how old I am. But when I was 18, there was this Levi's 501 commercial with Rob Liefeld, right? And
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
it was directed by Spike Lee,
uh,
and there was a whole campaign about how do you is your fly buttoned or something like that, right? And so they had Rob Liefeld on there talking about his X Force, or I don't know what he was drawing, and I was so inspired and motivated by it, the commercial, and I was in L.A. at the time, and at the time I knew Rob lived in LA, and I found out where he lived. I won't say, but I found out where he lived, and I literally went to dude's house to show him my comic stuffs. And at the time, I didn't even have like full pages. I just had like a bunch of sketches on typing paper, right? And I went once and I knocked on the door and nothing, right? And I was like, maybe next time. And I told myself, no, that's too crazy. And I've talked myself up about it. And I was like, a week later, I went again. I went to dude's house, and a folder filled with typing paper of scribbles in hand, right? And so I'm knocking on the door and all this stuff. A door, somebody opens the door. There's still a metal screen door in front of the door. Somebody opens the door and he's like, yeah. And I'm like, hi, is Rob here? And he's like, who is this? And I said, my name's Joel Gomez, and I just wanted to show you my art. And there's like this really long pause, and I was like, oh no. And he says, I have an office for these kinds of things. And I was like, nah, damn. And something, and that's it. This is a done deal. I'm like, all right, okay, well, sorry to bother you. I just drove from Monrovia, California, and I just wanted to talk to you. I'm sorry, man. And I was getting ready to walk away, and he says, Monrovia, that's kind of far, man. And I don't say anything, and then I hear the gate unlock, right? And I'm like, oh shit, this is crazy. And so then Rob invites me into his house, right? And so here I am. I'm 18, and I was such a vivid moment because I was literally walking into this stranger's house who was nice enough to invite this punk kid who he didn't know into his home. You know what I mean? Like, what an ass thing to do. Like, what was I thinking? You know, but at that age, you don't know. You're just excited, and you see something that's really cool, and you want to be a part of it. And anyway, so he invites me in, and it was such a vivid memory because I could still remember there was William Shatner was on TV on Good Morning America talking about a Star Trek movie that was coming out. I think it was something country or undiscovered country or something. I don't remember. And so he was on the TV, and I'm just sitting in Rob's living room, and he's like, "What do you got?" And so I start to show him a bunch of typing paper. And at the time, I'm like, "This is awesome." And looking back on it, I'm like, "Oh my God, what a waste of anyone's time. Like, this poor dude is having to, humor me as I'm showing him a bunch of typing paper drawings." And so he goes through it very quickly, and he starts explaining to me some really quick tips about how to storytell in comics. And explains the Z formation to me, which is, if you think of the capital letter Z, that's what the way you want to move through a page, from like top left, back, down, and across. And so he's explaining to me your page should be laid out as such so that you're moving the reader's eye from top left to top right and across and down. Oh, okay, I got it. And he gave me the number to his studio, and he said, "Hey, look, if you're ever back in town, like, swing by, and I'll gladly let you hang out at my studio, and you can meet some of the other guys I have working for me, and whatever." And I was like, I barely remember it because I was still like, I can't believe I'm in this guy's house, right? And so the dude was super nice to me, and I probably called him once or twice. And around that time, Image Comics was forming, so I I'm sure he was slammed with whatever business comes with all of that's happening. But he was just wrapping up on X-Force, and so he was getting ready to create Image Comics with Jim Lee and Mark Silvestri and Eric Larson and all those guys, And so anyway, fast forward to a Chicago, I think it was Wizard World Chicago. I want to say '02, maybe I don't remember. So he's there. I haven't seen Rob since I was, the punk 18-year-old kid who thought it was a smart idea to go to this person's house, like, you know what I mean? And so I work up the gumption to go up to his booth, and he had a couple people in line buying some cable prints or something, and so I'm waiting my turn, and he sees me peripherally, and then he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I go, "Hey, listen, I just want to apologize and to thank you." And his demeanor changed, like he kind of had a more serious look on him. And I said, "No, I just have to first of all apologize. As an 18-year-old kid, I said my dumbass decided that it was a good idea to go to your house, bug you to try and get into comics." And I could see him searching his mind, like, and then all of a sudden his eyes got wide, and he goes, "That was you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then he's like, "Oh, what? Oh my God." And he's like, "Where are you working right now?" And at the time, I was actually working at Wildstorm. I just started, and I said, I'm at Wildstorm right now." And he's like, "No, so it wasn't '02. It had to be like '06. And so then he like put his hand out, and I shook his hand, and he goes, "I'm glad I didn't waste my time." And I was like, "I'm glad you even gave me your time." And he just kind of laughed. And so occasionally, ever since then, anytime I see him, like, I could see that he's like, "Oh, it's you, hey." And I'm always ever grateful for him, being so patient and nice to me about that, But it's just part of some of the weird things that happen. Everybody gets into comics in a different way. And I'm always forever grateful to that guy for not just kicking me out of his house when that happened. But it's just one of the dumb things you do as a young person, I guess.
Oh, it's so awesome. So Rob had to be pretty young too. He was in his early 20s, right? During that.
When I went to go see him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think dude, I have no idea. I just remember he was he already had Extreme Studios. I know that for sure. But I think at the time he must have had like guys like Marat and maybe Dan Fraga, and like he must have been putting it all together and building it up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know any of that stuff. I just saw him on a TV screen, and I was like, that
Commercial.
guy's drawing comic books. I need to learn how to go draw comic books. And so, like, like I said, my dumbass went over to his house and like, went and bugged the kid or man about, how to draw comics, and
You're a man of action there, Joel. Jeez.
More importantly though, I'm really, really grateful that I this time as far as he's concerned, and that felt really good because I always ever wanted to go back to him and apologize or say something to him about that whole experience, and so like, but I also didn't want to have it just be that, and so like every time I see him, bring it up, but I just kind of wave and and that's the way it is. But and it's been neat, I've been really fortunate having the opportunity to work with some really cool guys. Like I got to work with Mark Silvestri at Top Cow, and that was kind of a neat experience. Really nice guy. And
hold that thought for a second. We got a couple of comments here. So Shannon, she's saying that was an amazing story. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, no, thanks for listening.
Yeah, we got Clark here saying absolutely love your art. So thank you.
Thank you.
Clark, that's great. Joker saying I love it, but I'm broke. I already spent too much at Coffin Comics Con online. Thank you, Joker. That's no problem. We appreciate you just watching and participating.
Yeah, hanging out.
Yeah.
We're just hanging out.
Question. So what pens, pencils, inks are your go-tos? What are the ones you like to use?
I'm a big fan of I use a HB lead holder. So like I use these 07 HB, really soft lead, kind of just glides through the thing. Ever since I started inking my own stuff, the stage of which a drawing is done and how much work I put into it has changed a lot, because a lot of times I'll finish the art in the inks, and a lot of times I'm only indicating stuff that I need for later when I'm doing it in pencil. Before, when I first started out in comics, like I used to draw it as a complete final thing in pencil and then go over it in ink. And when I started inking myself more frequently for La Muerta, I started realizing like, man, this is like a crazy person task, because then I'm inking the same way I'm drawing. I can't do that. And so it's changed how I draw. For inking, I really enjoy using brush pens. I bought these in Japan, and I basically just refill them constantly with India ink. I'll fill up the cartridge and then just use that for inking. But the coolest thing about these pens too is that it kind of can give you like a bride brush kind of effect when you do these things. And so I really implement that into how I portray specifically Maria and the world of La Muerta. I add that to it because it's a crime noir, so it should have a vibe to it that has kind of a grit to it, and these brush pens really add that to it. I also use my Jelly Roll pen. I really enjoy this product from Sakura. They also have a really cool eraser. It's called the Sumo Grip eraser. Those really work well for me, especially working on the pages. When you're erasing a bunch of crap, it always comes up really easy using the Sumo Grip eraser. And the Kuretake brush pens as well. I really wished I could use like a nib and ink like these traditional inkers, but I just don't have the patience or the dexterity to pull that off effectively enough and still turn in pages at a semi-regular kind of pace,
And real quick for folks who are just joining us, excuse me, you can shop now. Go to LadyDeathStore.com. Joel is giving us an example of what you can get with the original, what do we call them? The official Gomez original art edition. We've got the La Muerta, we've got the Lady Death, we've got Hellwitch. So you can get a full size, you can get a mid-size bust shot of that. So you have all the pricing, all the options. So go there right now, LadyDeathStore.com. Each of these are limited to 100 editions each. So they will not be available for that long. So if you like what you see, go pick one up. And it's like your own little surprise package. You get it because you don't know what you're going to get until it arrives. And you know it's going to be awesome, because check this out. This is the type of work Joel Gomez can do. That's why we're celebrating Joel Gomez. He is the Coffin Comics artist celebration person for
guest.
Yes.
For the day.
So great. Yeah. But let's see. I think we have some more comments here. here's a question here. So from Colin, hey, I'm from Seattle. How old are you, and what are your first comics you ever owned? I like your art. So
Thanks, Colin. Is that you say
yeah,
Colin?
Colin Bush.
Colin Bush. Hey, Colin. Thanks for joining us today. I'm old as dirt. So yeah, no. If you heard my Rob Liefeld story, you'll know I'm no spring chicken. Uh, my favorite. Did he say my favorite comic or my first comics?
First comics. Yeah, first comics ever owned. Do you remember
You
your
know
first?
what,
You always do.
dude? I was really spoiled. Because see, I'm gonna show my age again. My dad used to collect all these really old or they weren't old at the time. They were just what he collected. But he used to collect all the Marvel monster comics, right? So he'd have like, it had like not Tales from the. It was like Tales from Beyond, or it was just always this monster feature stuff. And so he was really fascinated with the monster comics. And one of the first comics I ever read was a Creepy magazine, and it was basically Bernie Wrightson
Mm.
celebration. And so in it, they had this thing. It was called the Muck Monster, and they had like a Frankenstein story in that. And this was my first experience in comics. And when I was looking at these things, it was like, holy shit, this is amazing. And of course, I mean, it also had, because it's Creepy magazine, it had boobs and stuff. So I was like, whoa, this is awesome, and monsters. So like it was an awesome for me because there was all the Marvel and DC stuff as well, but this stuff had like crazy monsters and boobs. And so like as a young guy, I don't think I thought I was pulling one over on my dad because like I don't think he knows this stuff's in here, and he used to keep a pile of comics right by the bathroom. And so I'd always flip through them all and find the ones that I liked. He was a big fan
Oh,
of
Joe.
like the monsters. Yeah.
Okay, stop you for a second. Can you move the artwork over to your yeah just more into the frame? Thank you.
Sorry, bro. Um, and so he was also a big DC fan at the time. It was a lot of Kirby stuff. So he had like Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. He had a lot of that New Gods. Again, anything Kirby, my dad was a big fan of stuff. So I was exposed to those things at an early age, and that was kind of what got me into comics. And that was fifth, maybe fourth grade. And as time passed on, I started kind of looking into it myself, different, titles and things that I enjoyed. I wasn't into the things my dad was into, but it's all the same. You kind of you're exposed to it, and once you are, you kind of go and find your own path. You know what I mean?
Well, hearing your those first comics, it's no surprise that you're working here at Coffin Comics. That's for sure.
Yeah, right. It's like it was a match, and that's the thing. Growing up, I enjoyed a lot of Marvel and DC books. Gotten older, I don't read as many of them as much. I mean, maybe it's just not for me so as some of the other books.
Hmm.
One of the last books I read was an indie book called Extreme, I think, by it was Skybound, I think. And it was a fantastic book. It was just different, open and shut kind of story. It was two OGN volumes, and that's kind of the stuff that fascinates me, and I really enjoy that kind of thing. And here at Coffin, we're kind of venturing out on our own, and that's always a blast. The idea of again working with Mike and Brian and helping them get stories out. It's a unique challenge and opportunity. And so it kind of reminded those times when I would read those old comics and be like, "This is a cool story. And it's got monsters, and sometimes it's got boobs, And so I just think it's the way it worked out for me. Fortunate.
And what's crazy because I'm looking at this full figure, and
Yeah.
because the one thing on the store, latest store, it must have been one you did a long time ago because it's nothing like this.
Oh, sometimes it's performance anxiety, right? Where maybe I'm doing it in the situation where I'm trying to do more than one thing, and
Uh,
I think that as I've done these enough times, it's gotten a lot easier. Whereas maybe it was one of the earlier ones where I wasn't as as experienced in it, so then it just came out a little more rough because my brain is having trouble like talking and walking at the same time or something like
yeah,
that.
I think it was you did it for either Last Rites or Yes, I think it's something we had on file that I think Nick just pulled and is using it as an example. But I wish we had this one to use it as an example. Holy cow!
Oh yeah, thanks, man. And
So
again,
so
go ahead.
how much thought do you put into it while you're doing it? Because it seems like you're just talking and doing it, not even like having to really. It's just like.
I think a
Is it
part of
muscle
it
memory?
is. I think again, a part of it is a familiarity with it, where in my mind, I'm saying, okay, Maria, what are we doing? And then I kind of let her tell me, and then I say, okay, that's cool, or I'm like, I already did that one, let's do something else. And so it's really bizarre, dude. I mean, it's almost like I have a relationship with this character, and so I ask her stuff, or like, how do we want to do this? And, and again, it's all in my head, but I think it helps me not think about it and let it just happen, so to speak.
So that's
And
fascinating because I've heard that with writers, like the characters will talk and kind of tell the story. So, but you have the same experience as the artist, like the character will tell you what you should be drawing. So that's fascinating. I never heard that. That's wild.
yeah, I mean, I don't think I've never really felt it that before, but I've never worked on anything as long as I've worked on the. So maybe that's naturally what happens. I kind of imagine like Mike Mignola might have that feeling whenever he's working on Hellboy. Like, okay, what are we doing today, Red? And he'll just kind of have almost like a dialogue within himself. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it's kind of the thing too. And when it's funny, sometimes visiting certain characters, um, I'll get that vibe, especially Loco and like some of the other La Muerta characters. But started feeling like that when I was drawing. I started feeling like that when I started drawing some of these Hell Witch sketch covers, where I was like, I don't know the character very well, but she started telling me shit on the drawing where I was like, oh, you don't like that? Okay, cool. Let me try this then instead. And so, and again, I'm just projecting. I don't know. Maybe it's how I view the character that makes me. It's sort of like this is another bad one. It's sometimes when I'm drawing a fight scene or a punch or something, I'm actually making the noise as I'm drawing it. I'm sure a lot of people. I'm sure a lot of people do that.
Oh,
It's
sure,
just
yeah.
I'm sure it's just an extension of that. It's like when you're playing toys and your figures and you're, it comes from the same place, I guess.
But it's
And
almost
so
like
that's
by doing that, you're using like your full, it's like you're using not only your physical realm, but your mental capacity. It's just like your whole body is an instrument because you're like putting in more than just like it's not just hand movement. It's
yeah.
next that you
It's
get
kind of
all these different levels of it.
yeah. It's like you're actively engaged on more than one level. You know what I mean? Let's see. Maybe I'll put red. I'm
Oh, we
deciding on
got
a little something.
James. James is saying hello to everyone. What's up, James? Thanks for joining us.
What's up, James? Going, man? I hope you're doing well.
Oh, Yolanda, Yo-Yo. She says she noises too.
Hey, what's up, yo? I hope you're doing okay out there. Yeah, it's fun. I'm trying to think like uh, I only ever really, like I said, with La Muerta did I feel like I have to. Okay, well, I'm what is she doing right here? And then I would try a pose if she's running, and it wouldn't be working the way I wanted, and I could feel like if like that's not how the character runs. It would be nothing wrong structurally with the drawing, but it was like that's not how that person runs, or something like that, and I would have to change it up because something inside would tell me like, that's not Maria, and so then I'd have to like find a way that would reflect. Well, how would Maria do it, and so, and it just kind of in line with that, and sometimes I'll even uh, Mike or Brian and say, throw out some ideas specifically about, well, what if Maria's doing this or she's got this going on, and they're like, yeah, okay, that sounds cool, or no, not at all, and so it's like I'm adding to this thing that these guys created and bringing my take to something based on the structure that they've shown us. And so like that's the thing. It's not necessarily like a passing of the baton, but it's like I'm understanding the recipe that they have here, and so I just keep trying to add stuff to it that they think is appropriate or works within the world of La Muerta.
It's just that.
Another
Yeah.
fun thing too. Go ahead.
Where's that one comment? Oh yeah, Jogger saying it seems like I like seeing magic happen. So it feels like it's like It is almost like a magician where you create something out of nothing. Before it was just a blank page, and then
Right.
through it's like almost like you're a conduit of the this creative divine that comes through you and it just enters right there. Like
That's
you're
so.
summoning. It's like you summoned
That's
Maria Diaz, aka La
yeah.
Muerta, on that
Muerta.
page for us. It's just amazing.
Well, it's cool because my things about drawing is that, like they said, it sort of is like a magic trick, and it's just a matter of like a sleight of hand, in the sense that I've drawn this particular face, this character, so many times or different ways that um, it could feel, I guess, like magic, but in reality, it's just an exhaustive amount of repetition. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like anything in life. You require to do something well requires that repetition. To play an instrument, and to play it well is just like that, and all the best things they require practice, and I think that's the coolest thing is that if you can find that thing that is your calling, the thing that you really enjoy doing, and you don't mind doing it for extended amounts of time, it's going to be what is necessary in order to do it successfully and do it really well. Because hey, let's say you like the way that person plays guitar or plays bass, and you like the way the sounds they get, and you got to realize that they put a lot of work into that kind of ability. And with that, you start to kind of look into it yourself and find your way of finding your voice in doing that, and that's how you kind of become your own creative person.
Here we got Michael. He says Joel Gomez is an amazing artist and one of the nicest people in comics. Rock on, brother. Be safe.
Thank you, appreciate it, dude. Hope you're having a fun day and enjoying the stuff we're doing with La Muerta. Looking forward to the May 20th. I think we have a new Kickstarter for the latest chapter of La Muerta, so that'll be coming up soon, and got a lot of cool stuff in store. We're already actually working on the newer chapters as well. We have some big events happening within the Coffin universe that are starting to seep into the world of La Muerta, and I can't wait for you guys to see how that all comes together.
And 3 p.m. today, you and writer Mike McLean will be talking about the upcoming Kickstarter. So, folks, if you want to join Joel later today, 3 p.m. Arizona time,
Yeah,
you can get
it's
the
be fun.
inside scoop.
Yeah, Mike's. It's been a blast. Mike and I, like I said, we've been working for years, and I've been fortunate enough to kind of be in simpatico with him. Like we we listen to a lot of the same kind of stuff when we're working, and so we're really big on Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. They do a lot of scores for movies and shows and stuff, and so they recently did the score for Watchmen, and Mike and I were comparing notes and saying like, "Hey, this should check this out." And I was telling him, "Hey, have you heard? They also did a score for oh gosh, I forgot the name of the movie, but it had Sandra Bullock. It was a Netflix movie where they couldn't
Oh,
they couldn't. Go ahead.
yeah, the quiet, whatever it's called, the quieting or the
Something
silent.
like that. The Bird Box, I think.
Bird
I
Box.
think it was
There you go.
I never watched it, but I listened to the score just because I was huge fans of, Reznor and Atticus Ross. And so I remember I shared that with Mike, and I think he hadn't heard it. And so he was like, "Oh, this is awesome. I didn't know this was out there." And so, "Do you like this kind of shit?" And he's like, "Yeah." And so I was like, "Oh, cool." And so it just ended up being another thing that we go down the rabbit hole together about is musical tastes. Um, but what's funny is that lately, just to keep from being distracted, I've been listening to. I've been jumping onto YouTube and listening to Red Dead Redemption ambient music from the game.
Oh yeah.
Red Dead Redemption 2 was this big game that my wife and I were playing on the PlayStation, and so I just put it on and I'll work on stuff. I'm currently working on some variant covers for Coffin, and it'll start seeping into my drawings. And so my warm-up sketches, I'll start having these like westernized guys. I'm like, man, I need to start listening to something else because I'm drawing too many cowboys. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Are you guys seeing this okay?
Oops, I had my mic off. Yeah, it looks good. Looking good. I don't want you to hear me clicking. Oh, yeah, Eric Henson says, great work, Joel. Digging
Hey, thanks,
it.
Eric. Hope you're having a good day, man. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I have another awesome. Would you like to hear another awesome comics behind the scenes story?
Let's do it. You know what? Time's up, but you know what? This is going so good. Let's hear another story.
Oh,
and then,
quick one. This will be a quickie.
But wait, before you do, I want to tell folks once again, this is an example of what you can get right now. If you shop now at leadfstore.com, you can pick up the I can't remember the name of these things, the official Gomez original art editions. That's what we named them. So you go there right now. This is an example of a full-size character. You can do this for La Muerta, as you see. You can do it for Lady Death. You can do it for Hell Witch. And he also does a bust. So many different options. Go there right now, leadfstore.com. It's on the front page. You can see all the options you have. You can even get them CGC'd if you want.
Nice.
So, okay, so let's go back to the story. Artist Celebration of Joe Gomez. Let's get it.
So this one's a real quick anecdote. When I was at Top Cow, again, I wasn't really an intern. I was just kind of loitering, hanging out with the artists. They were nice enough to keep me. Anyway, there was a guy who was an intern there, and I won't say his name, but he was in the production office one time, and he was looking at some pages, and he saw that there was a word stat on there, and it said on the page, it said, stat this image. And he's like, stat? And so someone in production overheard him looking at it and trying to figure out what the hell that was. And he goes, yeah, that guy, he works here. He only works 2 days a week. And he's like, oh, okay. And so he was led to believe that stat was somebody in the production part of the studio. And so at one time he was working on a specific book, and he goes, hey, I need to have this figured out. Should I just write a note to stat? And I said, yeah, I guess could. And stat literally just was the term used for, you want a duplicate, or like stat this copy, you know what I mean? It was a production term. And so this guy was under the impression that stat was, so he was writing notes on his pages to, hey, stat, don't forget to clean this panel up for me, thanks. And then a couple of weeks later, somebody led him to believe that stat got fired. And he goes, what happened to stat? And I go, oh, dude, something bad happened. Like he got into it with Nick in the production office. He's like, oh my gosh. And so to this day, no one ever corrected him on what stat was. And so I don't know whoever told him, but it was the funniest thing in the world.
And
so there we go. Yeah.
Who is doing it?
Who's doing what's that? Oh, the artist? I won't divulge the artist.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I feel bad if I had to divulge who didn't know what stat meant.
All right, folks. Once again, this is amazing. We just saw live. Joe Gomez created live in front of our own eyes. This is unbelievable. He sent Maria Diaz to life in front of our faces with this amazing rendition. So once again, Artist Celebration with Joe Gomez. Weekend long. Today, these editions only 100 each for the La Muerta, Hell Witch, and Lady Death. So go to LadyDeathStore.com, pick them up today. We've got more coming today at what time is it? At 1 p.m. Brian Pulido, Archfiend himself, and Joe Gomez are going to drop some knowledge on us at 1 p.m. So make sure to join us once again on YouTube and Facebook here at 1 p.m. Arizona time. Then at 3 p.m. there's the Retribution Kickstarter panel with Joel and Mike McLean. So join us once again. Go shop at LadyDeathStore.com. And folks, let me switch over here. That was fun. So, still working with this thing. I'm going to end it with this. So, folks, thank you very much. Stay positive, stay healthy, and make sure to stay sworn. We'll see you later.
I'll show them fear.